Hey, it's Eric G. Around the House is sponsored by Baldwin Hardware. For 75 years, Baldwin Hardware has been known for its first-class quality and craftsmanship in door and cabinetry hardware. As an alumnus of the Baldwin Hardware Design Council, I can say I have seen the details and quality from design to the finished product. If you're looking for a new style and old-world craftsmanship, I can tell you there is only one Baldwin Hardware. Check out what would look great in your home at baldwinhardware.com.
It's Around the House.
We've been talking here about top 10 things you can do to save money on your utility bills, and this next one here is something that could be free. Yes, F-R-E-E. Many utility companies are giving these away if you sign up to their systems or their programs. Now, let's talk about that a little bit in detail because there are some caveats to this that's important. I am a fan of smart thermostats. If your system can take it, not all can, but if your system can take it, it gives you a lot of flexibility and it can help you understand what's going on in your house and manage those temperatures much better. So much better than just that old analog style system. But here is one thing I want you to understand, and this is when you sign up for these things. Some areas, like California, West Coast, other areas.
When it comes to remodeling and renovating your home, there is a lot to know, but we've got you covered. This is Around the House.
Welcome to the Around the House Show, the next generation of home improvement. Thanks for joining me today. I am Eric G., the hour 2 of the radio show and podcast. Thanks for tuning in. It's just so amazing that we are late in July already, and summer is blasting by, and I hope everybody's staying safe out there with all the different weather events and things that are happening across the country. Keep it safe out there. If you want to find out more about us, head over to aroundthehouseonline.com. 24/7, you can give a call here in the studio at 833-239-4144. That number again is 833-239-4144. Make sure you catch out all our videos. We've got almost 500 of those now from the Around the House Northwest television show, and you can catch those all over at aroundthehouseonline.com. You can see so many different things that we've got over there, and I just did a new update over there to show some new stuff, so you can check it out over there. We've got some brand new videos up there. If you haven't done the deep dive, I'll get more up there for you so you can take a look. Today, I wanted to talk about the top 10 things you can do to save money on your utility bills around your house. These are things that you can do that'll help you save money, that'll really help you keep things dialed in and save a little money on the bills, because those utility bills, I tell you what, they are not getting cheaper out there. And it's been pretty tough for many people out there. Now, the first one is really important right here that I've got, and I think it's super important because it is a home energy monitor, and that is from Sense. Now, Sense I have been a fan of for probably 6 or 7 years. It's been a while. And when I was back in Boston, I went over to their Cambridge studios probably closer to 5 years ago and took a look at what they were doing, and it was absolutely stunning. So here's what this is. This is a home energy monitor that basically helps you figure out what are those energy hogs for electricity in your home. So you can really take control of it. It uses AI and listening to your electrical system to figure out what is going on so you know where your dollars are going. So it really helps you understand how much energy your home is using and really tells you where you can save it. So basically with this, on average from their users, they save about 8% on their electricity bills. And the cool thing with this is what's going on. And these guys are over at sense.com, SENSE.com. And you can take a look and see what things are costing you. And it'll also help you avoid disasters as well. So you can set it up so it figures out where your sump pump is. And wow, my sump pump is just running all the time. What's going on? It'll tell you. You can literally go on there and say, what's on right now? And you're like, hey, why is my oven on? You can literally walk in the kitchen and go, oh, who forgot to turn the oven off? It's that accurate. So that's one of the things that I really like. And they do have stuff that like Sense Solar. So it'll work with your solar system. If you do have a solar system set up for your house, it's really useful. It's really thoughtful. And it real time tells you what's going on, which I like. And so it's really good at one, saving you money, and two, figuring out where the things are. And you can compare, like if you have a garage or basement beer fridge versus the one inside, you can see and you can look at it and go, wow, my new refrigerator inside the house is using a third of the electricity as that old one out in the garage. I wonder how long it would take for me to pay for another newer fridge, whether it's new or used, to help save some money. So this is where you can really figure out what it is. And the other thing is it'll really to tell you how much it's actually using. So you can look at it and go, wow, okay, that's really cool. So it detects all those devices, and there's all these new things that you can do with it. So I think it's really intelligent. This is how intelligent it was. I was in their studio. So this was a number of years ago. This is probably 5 or 6 years ago. And I was in there and I gave them my password and code to log into my system. They can't just do that automatically. So we log in and the CEO sits there and goes, hey, Eric, I had no idea that you had a GE washer and dryer stack set or a front load system. And I'm like, yeah, how do you know? He goes, I can just tell how the electronics and the motor operate, that's that style. That's a GE style motor. And so they're just basically, when everything is running in your house, it's using electricity, it's giving off some kind of a little dirty signal within the line. This listens to it, it knows, and it'll go through and tell you where that energy is being used. And I think it's a great thing. You can jump on there. They've got a really good system. As far as pricing, they're pretty good over there on that. If you look at just I like the Sense Flex. They have the Sense. Then they have the Sense Flex. That has an extra monitor on it. So if you have an HVAC system or a heat pump, you can go over to that, which is cool. The regular Sense, let's take a look on Prime. They had a Prime Day sale this week, but let's go on to Amazon and see what Amazon is doing. This will be a little bit of an issue here because I'm doing this during the Prime Day, which that tends to go through. But yeah, so basically, wow, that's a great deal. So their list was $299. This last week, they had it for $199. And so you just pay for it once and there's no monthly fees. And so that's really cool. So just look at Sense Energy Monitor and that's where you'll find that. So impressive. That's a heck of a deal. And you can save some serious money with that. So I do like that. So that's something to think about right there. And it'll save you some money because you're going to figure out what's costing you money and what's not. Now, the next one here I think is really important when it comes to saving energy in your house is smart lighting controls. Smart lighting controls save me so much energy and add some security to my house because I am horrible. When I'm exhausted and I'm tired and I've been working a long day, I do not remember that I need to go turn off all the lights if I fall asleep. It just happens that way. So I went through, put smart outlets and smart switches in my house, and I can hit on my home system, good night. It turns on the lights I want on. It turns off the lights that I don't need. And it really does save me energy. Even though I've changed things over to LED, it controls all of these and shuts them down and just leaves the lights on that I want, which I really like because it really makes it so I don't have any unnecessary lights on for 6 or 8 hours at night while I'm sleeping. So that's one of those things that I think it's really important, and it costs you a little bit more as you do it, but overall it saves you money in the long run because you're saving some dollars, which I do. And that's super important to be able to save you some money like that. So think about smart lighting solutions. You can do it on your exterior lights only. You can do it on the certain lights in the house that you want off or on, or you can do like me where I've done a lot of testing and something I've gone through and changed out most of them. I have a few more switches I need to do. There's one company that I was testing out that was brand new and they did not make it through their economy. So they're shut down. They closed up about 12, 18 months ago. And so I need to check out and swap those out. I'll probably just put some Lutron Casita in there because those are just easy to deal with and put in the system. It works well. But there's a lot of great systems out there that are tried and true. It's not like it was 8 years ago where there was stuff that kind of worked and didn't. There's a lot of systems out there that I really like, whether it's Lutron or just a lot of different people out there. So Brilliant is another one. They're more expensive, but boy, those things are slick. So there's a lot of different companies out there making switches that work really, really well. All right, guys, we come back. I've got 8 more things here to help you save money on your utility bills now that really aren't too expensive, There might be one or two that are a little bit more money here, but most of these are little things like what we just talked about that you can nickel and dime to save you some serious money on that energy bill. We'll do that just as soon as Around the House returns. Don't go anywhere. Do you want to be an Around the House insider? For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can get exclusive extended episodes, early access to the weekend show, and exclusive access to me, Eric G, for project questions and comments. Click on the link on your podcast player in the show notes or head to aroundthehouseonline.com and look for the join here button. Plus, the exclusive episodes are nearly commercial free. I don't want you to miss out on any of the giveaways or special offers. Thanks for tuning in to Around the House. Hey, it's Eric G from Around the House. Are you tired of low quality water in your home? Do you have bad tasting water? How about chemicals, minerals, and a hard water scale tearing up your bathrooms, appliances, and your water heater? I have a great solution for you. It's time you stop the damage and check out King Water Filtration. This water treatment system takes care of every drop of water that comes into your home. It uses no salt, no expense filters to change, and it's made right here in the USA. Plus, it prevents hard water scale. To find out more information, head to kingwaterfiltration.com, and if you use promo code ERIC-23, it will give you $1,000 off MSRP with a discount on a filter that will resolve those water quality issues. Don't miss out on this amazing sale on a product made right here in the USA at kingwaterfiltration.com. That's kingwaterfiltration.com. And don't forget promo code ERIC-23.
What's up? This is Sticks Adenia.
And Satchel from Steel Panther. And you are listening to
Around the House with Eric G.
Yeah.
We love Eric G, and you should too.
1987, I never want to leave you.
Welcome back to the Around the House show, the next generation of home improvement. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Eric G. If you're catching us on the national radio show, I do appreciate you. And we do have our Around the House Insider exclusive content. So if you're a podcast listener or you're someone in the radio, you can head over to aroundthehouseonline.com. We have extended podcasts over there where we go into things a little bit deeper than the radio show here or this typical standard podcast. And if you want to hear the show a couple days early, you'll catch it over there on Thursday in its form instead of on Saturday. So there's a lot of little perks right there, including access to me directly. Now, we've been talking today about the top 10 things you can do to save money on your utility bills. And these are things that really I think you can do around the house that could save you a little bit of money and just help you keep those bills down. And I know for many people in the summertime right now, they've got ACs running, whether it's a window air conditioner or fans or whatever. And it can be, for most people, really tough to manage those electricity bills. Just like many people in the wintertime, and we get those big cold spells that people really don't like their heating bills as well, whether that's electricity, gas, or oil, or whatever they're using, that can be pretty expensive. So my list here is just stuff that I recommend that can help you maybe save $1 here, $1 there, and that starts to add up for everybody. Another one here is change out to LED lighting, and I'm talking about good LED lights. Now, here's the thing. They came out and said, LED lights are going to last you for 20 plus years. No, they don't always work that way. And I have had more struggles with the durability of LED lights lasting a year or two versus 20. I think in a lab they probably did, but they didn't take into account variable dimmers and turning them off and on. And that's really where the hard part is that cycling of them. Yeah, you plug them in and they're just running. They just keep going. It's that starting circuit that tends to have some problems. And that's the one where when it's dimmed or whatever else, you have some issues with it. So the cheaper the bulb, the less they'll last. So be very careful with that. So that's a key right there. But when you're changing out to LED lighting, Get good bulbs, get stuff, and then keep the receipt on it, keep the warranty. Make sure that if you've got a warranty claim, send it in. Get your money back on it. Take it back to the store, whatever. Get your money back, because here's the thing. We are not holding these companies responsible if we don't do these warranty things. And that's what they're banking on. They're banking on you going, I don't know what that was. Save the boxes, save it, put it in a box up in your attic space and say, hey, do it by room, and send it back if it's under warranty. Make sure that you get another one. It'll save you some money right there. Okay, next one here is a big one. And this one saves me in my house a couple $100 a year. So I had a natural gas water heater, 40 gallon in my house. And I did the calculations on what that was costing me for the first 18 months in the house. Then I switched it out to a Bradford White brand Aerotherm heat pump water heater. And instead of sitting there burning gas to heat your water, this is like your heat pump in a house where it's got a compressor and a coil, and it swaps the water out, basically. It takes the heat out of the air that's in the room, puts it into the water heater. And instead of using lots of electricity, 30 amps of power, I'm using 500 watts of power when I'm on heat pump only mode. And that saves me about a couple $100 a year. And so I went plus from a 40 gallon gas to an 80 gallon heat pump water heater. That thing is awesome. And what I like about the Bradford White units specifically is that they are repairable. So you can have an HVAC person come out under warranty, swap that out, and they can fix it. The other brands out there are not repairable. So what happens is they've got to sit there and basically toss the unit and put a whole new one in. This one, they make parts. It's made in USA. I love what they're doing. And they've got new stuff now where they've got a coating on the inside that is antimicrobial, so you don't have to worry about any growth of anything on the inside of it. So it's something that keeps it healthier. So another one of those things that's really smart. So take a look at a heat pump water heater. And the cool thing is, yeah, they're expensive. They can be 2 or 3 times or more the price of a regular water heater, but a couple $100 a year pays off pretty quickly in my situation. Now, your electric company could have a ton of rebates that'll help do that. I've seen $1,000, $1,200 rebates. That starts to really reduce the cost of that. So take a look at heat pump water heaters for your place. It's not a fix-all for everybody, but I tell you what, if you want to save some money, that is a big one right there. And I like the Bradford White Aerotherm just because of the repairability and that you can get parts. I had a power surge at one point here, and they sent me out a new control panel, and it was a 2-minute fix, very easy, popped it in and out, and plugged it right back in. And that was just something that was storm related, not something that was water heater related, but I didn't have to put a whole brand new water heater in, which I like. So if you had some kind of a leak in the system, that is repairable, which I think is really cool. So check out Bradford White Aerotherm water heaters. Serious savings. Basically that 80 gallon, if I look at the energy guide on this one here, it says that annual to cost to run hot water on that on average, using their averages on that energy guide, $171 a year, which is pretty solid. That's it for 80 gallons. That's a lot of water. Now that's the cool thing with it as well. For you guys going 500 watts, it takes forever. You're right. It does take a while to heat up, but if I put it on the hybrid mode, if I have lots of showers going on, it's the holidays, I'm using a faucet out front to wash the car with warm water, or I'm using more of it or something like that, it will go into, it does have 2 regular elements that I can use to recover quicker if I need that quick recovery. But I tell you what, it's not too often that happens, because with the 80 gallons, it's pretty darn efficient. So I like that. So the next one here is a little bit more of an investment, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but changing out those window air conditioners to a heat pump or a mini split, for instance, or one of the different HVAC options can save you some serious money. I was saving when I went from my window type air conditioners. I had 2 portables that ran in my house. I instantly saved $200 a month going to an efficient air conditioner in my house, period. Bam, that quick. So it was much more efficient for that. Now, the good news is there are new air conditioners that are out there that are more of a heat pump style that you can put in the window units for that portable ones that are more efficient, that use less power. So they're inverter technology. So the compressors use a lot less energy. So that is something that's worth looking into if you're buying a new one. But I tell you what, you can really, really spend some money with window or portable air conditioners for 3 or 4 summer months for many in the United States or longer and save some serious money. Now, the problem though is yes, putting in HVAC is a solid investment, but that is something you'll also get back in the house. And there are a fair amount of energy rebates out there that go state to state that you'll need to figure out around you. But there are a lot of rebates and more coming for putting in more efficient systems. Will it pay for the system? Not even close. Will it pay a portion of it? Absolutely. Will it pay half of it? Probably not. Unless you're very low income and grabbing some of the new things that are coming out here in the next year, probably won't help you there as much as you'd like it to. I would sure take a look at it now because it's not going to get any less expensive out there. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Round the House will be right back after these important messages. Don't change that dial.
Hey, this is Ron Keel, the Metal Cowboy from Keel, the Ron Keel Band and Steeler. We are rocking Around the House with Eric G.
Welcome back to the Around the House show, the next generation of home improvement. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Eric G. If you want to find out more about us, head over to aroundthehouseonline.com and make sure you follow us on social media and check out all of our videos out there. We've been talking here about top 10 things you can do to save money on your utility bills. And this next one here is something that could be free. Yes, Free. Many utility companies are giving these away if you sign up to their systems or their programs. Now, let's talk about that a little bit in detail because there are some caveats to this that's important. I am a fan of smart thermostats. If your system can take it, not all can, but if your system can take it, it gives you a lot of flexibility and it can help you understand what's going on in your house and manage those temperatures much better. So much better than just that old analog style system. But here is one thing I want you to understand, and this is when you sign up for these things. Some areas like California, West Coast, other areas in the country, your utility, if they give you a certain thermostat in that program, you might be giving them control to change your thermostat under peak conditions. Now, read your fine print, understand what they want to do. Here's what can happen. You sign up for this program, they're like, cool, here's your new one, shows up in the mail the next week, you're ready to rock. You install it, all of a sudden you have a heat wave, there's an energy shortage, and you're like, hey, who turned my thermostat up? There is a chance that they could click on and send messages out to these things and say, hey, you can have your house at 75, but not 70 for the next few hours because we need to chill it out a little bit here and take some load off the network. So you might be giving up control. And if you're okay with that and you want to be part of the community that does that, sweet. If that's something that's going to bother you personally, read the fine print and understand if you can opt out of those or not. You might be able to opt out, but they might not give you the thermostat for free. So take a look and see what you can do with that and what the rules and regulations are so you understand it. Because that can be a big deal. And that's one of those things that could get you frustrated, could get you pretty upset. And I don't want to see that happening. So understand if they're giving it to you, why are they giving it to you? Are they giving it to you for that? Or are they giving it to you so they can control your thermostat in those peak conditions? Now, there are companies out there in the utility world out there that are giving rebates when they do that. So it could save you money. It could say, hey, we're going to kick it back, but we're going to give you a $5 credit or something like that. These are things that could give you some money and they could be savings. So see what they're offering, see what they're giving you, and understand what that is. And like I said, read the fine print so you understand what's going on because that is a super important one. But in a nutshell, having a good working smart thermostat lets you know what the humidity is. It lets you know you can really control things, especially with your phone. If you're gone on vacation, you can have it so you turn the temperature where you want it by the time you get home. If you want to change it when you're on the road and say, hey, it doesn't have to be 70 degrees in here while I'm cruising around, gone all day. I can let it be a little warmer and catch up when I get back home. So there's things you can do with that might help you out. So take a look at that option. Contact your local electricity provider for that. So that's one there. Now, another one that gives you a ton of value to put back in your home is insulation. This is something that for the dollars you spend and the value it provides, yes, that is a positive. Many places in the country, if you add insulation, you'll get 110, 120% of that back per the cost versus remodeling report. So cost versus value index that they put out by Remodeling Magazine. That is one that in the last few years has said, hey, this is something that is really added to the value, which I like. That's something super cool. So think about that a little bit. That is something added value-wise. You could be solid with that, and I want to make sure that you're good. But that is one that a little bit of insulation. Now, the thing, guys, you can get up there and get too crazy and cause more issues by putting in insulation than you think. Think about ventilation. Do not get up there. Do not run down to your home center, blow in more insulation and cover up all of these soffit vents and cause other issues. So make sure that you're doing this smart. Make sure that you're paying attention, that you've got the proper airflow in that attic, that you're not blocking off any of those areas. When in doubt, keep it back. If you need to extend out those baffles and staple new ones up there to make sure that you've got soffit ventilation coming in, make sure that you have the proper ventilation, because if you don't, that can basically negate the insulating value up there because you have an attic that's too hot, and then it could reduce the life of those shingles. Make sure that you've got that under control. So spend some time up there. If you're going to do it, consult a home energy management company. One thing you can do as a side note that could save you a ton of money, have a home energy audit done. That could be tax deductible. That could be a rebate for that from your local energy company. It's a side note with the insulation thing. You can take a look. They'll do a blower door test. They'll see how much air is leaking in out of your home. They'll tell you what the insulation is, where you could spend your money smartly. Because maybe windows aren't the smart option. Maybe insulation is. Maybe sealing up that house that's super leaky and causing some other stopping that. But here's one thing that I just have to say this. Building science is an important deal. So take any home energy audit with building science in mind, because sometimes a house that breathes is not bad. I'd much rather have you have a leaky house and pay a little bit more for your HVAC than to close it up, not have any fresh air coming in and make that house sick, where you've got a health hazard with that. So sometimes taking old houses, sealing them up really tight is not the best option if you haven't addressed the whole structure. So I want to make sure I put a really big asterisk here of doing an energy report on your home, making sure that you look at this house in a scientific way and not just start throwing stuff at it. Because I've seen people cause some serious problems when they're like, hey, doing siding and windows, spending $40,000, and they wrap that house up, seal it up tight, but they didn't deal with the ventilation issues that need to come with that. And that can cause other problems. So really take a look at it. This is where HVAC engineers come in. You can get people to come in and they can help you design out a system for your house that's going to work and make sure that you've got the right people working on the project. So be very careful. You can cause bigger problems. You can tighten up a house and all of a sudden you've got a 48-inch Viking range in there with a vent fan, and all of a sudden where are you pulling the air out of for that 1200 CFM hood? Now it's not coming out through the cracks in the house. Now it's coming out other places, which could be a big issue. So be very careful. Plan ahead for these things and make sure that you don't cause a bigger mistake by trying to fix one thing. So you need to look at that whole house as a system to make sure that you got that dialed in. And one of the things here too that's saving some money on your utility bills is to keep in mind that we've talked about this in previous episodes, but I just want to give it an honorable mention here. Controlling humidity in your home is great because your body feels humidity the same as temperature. So that's why when you walk in someone's home and smart thermostat says it's 70, but you got 60% humidity, you go, man, it feels stuffy in here. You walk in and it's 32 relative humidity and it's 70 degrees, and then you go, man, it feels cold in here. That's all about the humidity at that point. So controlling humidity in your house can be a very inexpensive way outside of controlling the temperature to make your house feel more comfortable, because it takes you less energy to put a dehumidifier in there than it is to be running that AC on full blast. So that's just something to consider right there. Could save you some money in the long run. So another one to think about. So take a look at attic insulation. take a look at crawl space, floor insulation, that kind of stuff. And if you're doing any remodeling, of course, it's great if you've got a wall opened up to go ahead and fix that insulation while you're at it and put the best you can in there. It'll save you some money in the long run. And it's probably tax deductible, or you can get some energy rebates on it. So take a look at that. So, all right, here's one here that people never talk about, and it's a big one. We're going to talk about this here in this segment, and the next segment here in our last one, but I wanted to talk about it here. If you have a hot tub, or if you're replacing a hot tub, or you're replacing a hot tub cover, make sure that you've got a very good, high quality hot tub cover on it. You can order from a lot of the custom hot tub cover companies out there. These aren't going to be the name brand ones out there, but they are universal companies that make custom covers for certain brands of hot tubs, right? So make sure that when you do this, order a tub cover that is thicker. We'll be right back. Don't change that dial. We got two good ones for you to help save you some money. Welcome back to the Around the House Show, the next generation of home improvement. Thanks for joining me today. If you're catching us on the radio, and if you're catching us on the podcast, thanks for listening this far through the show. We're ending up into the final segment of hour 2 today. If you want to find out more about us, head over to aroundthehouseonline.com. 24/7, you can give a call here in the studio at 833-239-4144. That number again is 833-239-4144. Make sure you catch out all our videos. We've got almost 500 of those now from the Around the House Northwest television show, and you can catch those all over at aroundthehouseonline.com. And we're really been talking about the top 10 things you can do to save money on your utility bills. And the next one here is pretty important. And this is one that might take some soul searching. This could be one of those things where you're like, I got to take a look at my habits. I got to take a peek at how I operate things. And here's the question I have for you. And this will relate to some people and many others it won't. But do you really need 2 refrigerators and 2 freezers? Or do you need 2 complete refrigerators and freezers, as in what you'd see in your kitchen and maybe the one in the garage and the 2 chest freezers out there? Do you really need to be running all of those compressors? Because that sure adds up. Now, the question is what's that costing you to run day in and day out? And that can be interesting because sometimes the food that you put in there that you're storing, you might not be getting that savings. Now, if you're a rancher or you go out and buy that half a cow and you store it all winter or something like that, totally get it. But if you just have leftovers, maybe some Costco pizzas or whatever in there, you're saving money. So here's how the math works out. Let's talk about this for a minute. For instance, if you've got a 10-year-old chest freezer, when that thing's operating, which is when it's plugged in, that could be using 500 watts of energy per year. So that means you could be costing you $200, $300, $400 a year, depending on what your energy rates are. And so if you think about that, that adds up pretty darn quickly. And so that can have an impact on your bills. Now, if you've got 2 of those, that could be a lot. So that's where that stuff really starts to make sense, where you're like, wait a minute. And if you're running it in a warm location, like a garage or something like that, that can add up pretty crazy. So watch your electricity use. If it's running 500 watts, that's a lot. So that starts to add up pretty quickly. So make sure that you get a newer one. Might only be using 100 to 200 watts. But this is where stuff starts to really add up. So if they're using, again, Energy Star stuff is only going to be costing you 30, 40, 50 bucks a year. But really, that could add $100 a month on something old. So be careful with that, guys. And the same thing with refrigerators, too. If you've got an old 1970s refrigerator out in the garage because it was the old one, it was your grandmother's, that might pay for itself to replace it. Or maybe you don't need another one. Maybe you just need a smaller fridge. So think about 2 things. One, its location. If you have a garage or in a place where it's always super hot, it might be better in a basement or someplace like that where it's more temperate. because the hotter it gets on the outside, the more you have to use it. So that's the thing. It's not just an average number. If it's out where it's 90 degrees all the time in a garage for months on end, you're paying a lot to keep that stuff going. And with food prices these days, you might be better off just not storing as much frozen food. So think about what those costs are. It could be costing you some serious money, especially if it's something you don't really use. I know some people, and I've got family members in their chest freezers or their stand-up freezers, they probably haven't been in there in 4 months. Why are you paying for that? That's just wasting money. And you might as well burn through the food or see if it's any good at all. That's one thing that we do have an issue with here in the United States is sometimes we freeze stuff way longer than we're supposed to. So something to consider that could save you money. Now, here's another one too. If you pay for water, there are things that can save you some serious money if you are sitting there paying for water. Now, if you're on a well, you just got electricity costs, not that big a deal. But for many of us, especially in my area, for instance, my water is very expensive. Water bill is $200 to $300 a month without talking about watering my yard. So that gets really expensive really quick. So one of the things we need to pay attention to is what are some of the biggest uses of our water? One of those could be that old 3.5 gallon 1970s flush toilet that you got sitting in the house. And when we came out with the 1.6 gallon flush, 20 something years ago in the 90s, 30 something years ago, goes away quick, doesn't it? So you think about that. We had toilets that weren't working well and we swapped those out. The 1.6 gallon stuff when it first came out was garbage. And literally your old toilet worked so much better than your new ones do. So now you start thinking about that going, okay, now you can get down to a 1 gallon flush that in most situations, unless you've got an older house with a basement with old plumbing, that's another issue. But if you really think about it, and if you've got that issue there where you go, okay, wait a minute, we've got to deal with water usage. I could save gallons a day in toilet flushes. That starts to add up pretty quickly. And so I've seen people out there change out those old toilets and go to a 1 gallon flush, and you could save a couple $100 a year on water if you have high water rates. Now, it could be $50 a year if you've got lower water rates, but it sure adds up pretty quickly. So take a look and don't just go down to your home center and buy the $100 toilet down there. That'll be the biggest mistake because you're going to have to flush it twice, which negates the water savings. But take a look at something nice like a Toto DXV. I'm a Toto fan myself. I think they make great toilets. DXV is another great brand from American Standard. That's their high-end line. Toto is the #1 manufacturer of toilets out there for making great stuff. So they are the king out there. And you're not going to go find them at your typical home center, but that's something that you can spend $300 or $400 and get something basic and get something that's going to last you forever. And what's funny, I talk to people that are like, hey, I'm going to start doing apartments. I'm going to start investing in real estate. And that's one of the biggest things I tell people when you're doing that. If you're going to create some kind of a rental, whether it's a short-term, long-term, first thing I do that'll save you some serious money is go put in a Toto toilet, get rid of that $150 one that you picked up from the home center the last time you replaced it, put it in there. You're going to save so many clogged toilets and toilet-related issues. The first time your management company has to go call a plumber to come out there, you are now ahead. So that's the secret right there to make sure that you're using less water. And on a toilet like that, if you get a good one like that, a Toto, you don't have to worry about it. And they don't pay me. Toto's never paid me a dime to say this. But it's just something that I've used and I've specified in clients' homes for 20 plus years. And I've never had a single complaint going, oh, I wish I wouldn't have got that. And everybody will go, wow, that thing's amazing and it's so easier to clean. You can even get stuff now if you want to spend some big money to get something that's completely self-cleaning. You'll never have to clean the toilet again because the toilet will do it for you. Now, it's a little bit more money, but it's not a bad option when you look at it. So these are things to think about. These are things that can save you money on a basic toilet. And if you can save, let's say you've got 5 people in your household, you can save a few $100 a year pretty easily with how much we use toilets, especially if people are home during the day. I hope these things can help you think about ways to save money around your house and to dial in those utility bills, because as we know, those are not getting any cheaper. And quite frankly, they've been getting pretty expensive. I know our rates went up here in my area. They went up electricity-wise, went up 18%. And I think they're going to do that again here in a couple of years as well. So those electricity rates are not going to get any cheaper. And of course, people go out and do solar, and that's not for me. If it works for you, great. I literally cannot. I've got protected trees, 6 of them here that are no way I could get moved. There's a few other ones, but long story short, there's no way I could put solar here that would make any sense because I don't have full sun, except for a couple tiny places in the property for a couple hours. So of course it wouldn't make any sense. But for some people, they like to do that. If you want to go where you're pulling stuff pretty much off the grid and going solar with battery backups, that can be great. Now, it's a significant investment. You can spend a lot of money on that stuff, but maybe you'll get some of that back. And maybe long-term, if you start looking at how that comes back in 10 years, that will work. But that's not one of those things that we have here in our top 10 things you can do to save money on your utility bills that are really cost-effective, that don't cost you a significant. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend or early week, depending on when you're listening to this. People listen to this all week long on the Home Improvement DIY channel that we've got out there that we stream on all week long from people on the podcast and, of course, the Talk Media Network, where we are broadcasting every single weekend on that for 2 hours each and every Saturday. So I appreciate all you listening on the radio, all of you catching us on the podcast and the streaming out there. And make sure you check over at Around the House Online. Take a look at our playlist. We have, 500 videos up there now, just about, from the show Around the House Northwest of our last, 75 episodes. So we've got a lot of content there. If you're tackling a project, something for you to consider. All right, everybody, have a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy your summer weekend or your week, depending on what you're doing. Thanks for tuning in to Around the House. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Undiscovered, anywhere beyond the mean. Life is a love song, let's be lovers. We're all over the radio. Take my hand, I know where to go. All over the radio with you.
Hey, it's Eric G. with Around the House. Are you looking to grow your business? Need a spokesperson for your company? Maybe an MC for an upcoming trade show, or maybe you want to up your game and shoot some promotional videos. My team of experts would love to chat with you. Head to AroundTheHouseOnline.com and fill out the Contact Us form, and we'll set something up. Thanks for listening to Around the House.